By the end of the session, you are able to differentiate the three research designs according to purpose and procedure, distinguish the research design used in a quantitative research, and assess the quality of a specific research design used in a quantitative research study. The research design is a framework for planning your research and answering your research questions. Creating a research design means making decisions about 1. The type of data you need, 2. The location and timescale of the research, 3. The participants and sources, 4. The variables and hypotheses if relevant, and number 5. The methods for collecting and analyzing data. The research design sets the parameters of your project. It determines exactly what will and will not be included. It also defines the criteria by which you will evaluate your results and draw your conclusions. The reliability and validity of your study depends on how you collect, measure, analyze, and interpret your data. A strong research design is crucial to a successful research proposal, scientific paper, or dissertation. In experimental research design, it is important to define your research question and variables. Here, you should begin with a specific research question in mind. You may need to spend time reading about your field of study to identify knowledge gaps and to find questions that interest you. Then, if you have a strong conceptual understanding of the system you are studying, you should be able to write a specific, testable hypothesis that addresses your research question. In a controlled experiment, you must be able to systematically and precisely manipulate the independent variable. You have also to precisely measure the dependent variable and to control any potential confounding variables. Also, how you manipulate the independent variable can affect the experiment's external validity. That is, the extent to which the results can be generalized and applied to the broader world. How you apply your experimental treatments to your test subjects is crucial for obtaining valid and reliable results. First, you need to consider the study size, meaning how many individuals will be included in the experiment. In general, the more subjects you include, the greater your experiment's statistical power, which determines how much confidence you can have in your results. Then you need to randomly assign your subjects to treatment groups. Each group receives a different level of the treatment. You should also include a control group, which receives no treatment. The control group tells us what would have happened to your test subjects without any experimental intervention. When assigning your subjects to groups, there are two main choices you need to make. Number one, a completely randomized design versus a randomized block design. Number two, an independent measures design versus a repeated measures design. We also have the term randomization. So in an experiment, this can be completely randomized or randomized within blocks or strata. In a completely randomized design, every subject is assigned to a treatment group at random. In a randomized block design, also known as the stratified random design, subjects are first grouped according to a characteristic they share, and then randomly assigned to treatments without those groups. Like a true experiment, a quasi-experimental design aims to establish a cause and effect relationship between an independent and dependent variable. However, unlike a true experiment, a quasi-experiment does not rely on random assignment. Instead, subjects are assigned to groups based on non-random criteria. Quasi-experimental design is a useful tool in situations where true experiments cannot be used for ethical or practical reasons. Correlational research design measures a relationship between two variables without the researcher controlling either of them. It aims to find out whether there is either positive correlation, negative correlation, or zero correlation. In positive correlation, both variables change in the same direction. For example, as height increases, weight also increases. In negative correlation, the variables change in opposite directions. For example, as coffee consumption increases, tiredness decreases. Then in a zero correlation, there is no relationship between the variables. For example, coffee consumption is not correlated with height. There are two main situations where you might choose to do correlational research. The first one is if you want to find out if there is a relationship between two variables, but you don't expect to find a causal relationship between them. The other one is if you think there is a causal relationship between two variables, but it is impractical or unethical to conduct experimental research that manipulates one of the variables. Descriptive research aims to accurately and systematically describe a population, situation, or phenomenon. It can answer what, where, when, and how questions, but not why questions. A descriptive research design can use a wide variety of research methods to investigate one or more variables. Unlike in experimental research, the researcher does not control or manipulate any of the variables, but only observes and measures them. Descriptive research is an appropriate choice when the research aims to identify characteristics, frequencies, trends, and categories. It is useful when not much is known yet about the topic or problem. Before you can research why something happens, you need to understand how, when, and where it happens.